There was once an old man who had two sons, and he had a fairly decent sized farm to leave to them. And the older son was a hard worker, he was generous, he was honest, and very pleasant to be around. And the younger son was the complete opposite. Greedy and grasping and trickery, and any way to get anything from anyone, he would do it. Now, in our culture, the older son would get the farm. But in that culture, all the riches went to the youngest son. And that's exactly what happened. Oh, now, the younger son knew he had to do something for his older brother, or everybody in the village would talk about him. So he let the older brother have this shed, this little hut down in this old orchard that was overgrown and the trees had wormy fruit on them. And he gave him the moth-eared mule, and he gave him the old ox. And he said to his older brother, do as well as you can, and I'm going to expect your rent on the first of every month. So the brother did as well as he could. He did have some pennies saved up. But what he did was he went out along the byways and the hedgerows, and he gathered all of the plants, the branches, the weeds that he knew would be good for his animals, and he fed them. He put an ointment that he made from crushed up leaves on the old ox and on the mule, and he took good care of them. He made sure they had water. He even built a little shed from branches that had fallen down, so they had some place to shelter from the rain. And then when they began to look healthy, he led them into the orchard, where all the good stuff he was feeding them fell underneath the trees, and the trees began to react and grow young again. It was nice, although it was going to take more time than he had, because his brother was demanding rent and he was running out of money. So he went to his brother, now that fall had passed and he had picked all the apples that were worth picking. He went to his brother and he said, I'm having trouble making the rent. Wow, said his brother, I just heard an amazing story. You've got the old animals, right? Yes, you gave me the old animals. Well, listen, I heard this story in church on Sunday. Christmas is coming. And on Christmas Eve at midnight, those animals are going to tell us that there's a treasure someplace on our farm. Now, if you wake me up in time to go down and listen to those animals, I'll take 12 shillings off your rent for the first 3 months of the year. 12 shillings isn't much, but anything would help. So the older brother agreed that he would come up and wake his younger brother up before midnight on Christmas Eve. And then he went home. And Christmas Eve came. Was he invited to the dinner? No. Did he have anything to celebrate with? Yeah, he had a baked apple. That was about it. He also had some cider. So he mulled himself a mug of cider, and then he mulled another mug too. And he went out to the oldest apple tree, and he stood there. And he greeted that apple tree with a song. It went along something like this. Oh, grandfather tree, you have gifted to me the fruit of your branches. And here I have in this mug the juice of the fruit of your branches. And he poured the cider into a hole in the tree's trunk. And then he took a sip of his cider. And from out of nowhere, a voice said, oh, lad, I've not had a gift like that in many a year. 'Tis I, the apple tree, said the voice. And listen to me. Your brother up there, he thinks he will get the treasure, but you take the old shovel he left behind the shed and dig under those roots over there, crossed like a granny's knuckles, and see what you will find. And so that's what the older brother did. He ran and found a shovel behind his shed. He dug under those roots, and there was a duffel bag filled with gold coins. Now, he had half an hour to get his brother up, so he ran up the hill. He woke his brother up. And while his brother was getting dressed, he came down the hill. He took that bag of gold. He took the shovel, because it was the only tool he had, and he hightailed it out of there. Oh, the younger brother ran down, and he sat there in that shed made out of branches, and he waited. He heard the bells in the village ring midnight, and he waited, staring first at the mule, and then at the ox, and then at the mule, and then at the ox. And finally the mule said, "Who's that staring at us so?" And the ox says, "Ah, he wants the treasure that our master has already gone. Oh, the best of luck to him." And that's the end of the story.